Positive. What's your story?
To my younger self, what's your
To
story?
my younger self.
To 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 my younger self. What's your story? To my younger self. What's your story?
Well, hello and good morning. How is everyone doing? I hope you are doing well. My name is Zoe Baraka. As always, today is Tuesday. Oh my good God, it is November 20 something. It is Tuesday, November 29th. Yes, November 29th. It is so good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Of course, the show is To My Younger Self, where we tell stories from the past that will propel us into the future. And today we are here to do the author's corner of To My Younger Self. I'm very excited because I have a young lady, a very beautiful, very radiant young lady who is joining us today to talk about her book. And I am so excited because I see myself in almost every part of this book, believe it or not. And so I feel like we're here to kind of peel the onions on my life a little bit. So yes, it's gonna be fun. Do me a favor, go and kind of please share. Okay, tell a lot of people to share. Most importantly, I want you to share to a lot of young women. I think that this book is very important. It's a very important book. It is a pivotal book for a lot of young women going through different stages of their lives, and they need to be here to hear it from Rabi herself, some of the things that we're going to be discussing. So please, I want you to go out there and share the link. Welcome to everyone that is on YouTube. We are so thankful that you're here. I see there's a couple of people in the room already. Who is here? Joyce. Oh, it is so good to see you. And I see, of course, our big sister, our producer herself is here from Canada. How are you doing? I am told, and I'm always trying very hard not to add big sister before her first name. I'm not able to, but I'm going to try. Welcome, Candy. My goodness, it is so good to see you. Please, if you can, Candy, I want you to stick in here today. I think there's some things in there for both you and for me. Seti, another one of our producers, it is so good to see you. Oh, Middo, so, the beautiful thing about Kendi is the fact that you are not from Ghana, but you do everything possible to learn some Ghanaian, phrases and, just some of the dialects. So I really appreciate you for that. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Let us jump into it. We normally do greetings from all parts of Africa. To My Younger Self is in a very, transitory, is that the word? Transitory stage right now. So there's a lot of things that are not kind of quite gelling, but we will not stop greeting each other. So today the greeting might actually be a little longer. What do you know? Oliotia to you if you speak Luganda and you are from Uganda. We're starting from Uganda today. So welcome to the show. If you speak Luganda, Oliotia to you. Ibella to you, Ibiokibari to you. I greet you in the Moshi dialect or the Mori dialect from Burkina Faso, parts of Ghana. Most of my family speaks it. So hello. Baraka da zua to you, Sanunku da zua to you, Yaya de Kakwana Lafia. I really do hope that you slept well. It is good to see you. Ya Ken, Toma. Tuma Awela, Fuduawela, I am greeting you in my father tongue, the Kasasi or the Kasal. It is good to see you. Indina to you, of course, Wezo Eleke to you, if you speak Ewe. From the Volta region of Ghana, we greet you. Te Oyo Tang, I hope you're doing well. Oje Ko to you from the keepers of the Accra land, which is, the Ghans of Accra or Ghans of Ghana. Let me slow down and speak right. Yours truly has not slept for a while. So listen, we're going to just roll with the punches today. That's what we're going to do. Ekaro to you, ekabo to you. If you speak Yoruba, I greet you. Kedu to you, Otutuoma to you. To our Igbo speaking friends, thank you. Emesiare to you. If you speak Abibio, also in Nigeria, we're going deep today at to say Akwaba Onteden Yamawachi. Thank you for joining us. It is good to see you. Shani Ulushani to you. If you are in Zambia and you speak Bemba, we greet you. Bwanji Mulubwanji to you, we greet you, Awana from the Mendes of Sierra Leone. Oh my goodness, I love these guys. Wow. Nagadef to you. If you speak Senegal, no, you don't have to speak Senegal. You speak Wolof. Brain pause. You can't speak Senegal. You speak Wolof. Nyasi to you, Aloy Domilaki. Kotong and Amohelang to you. If you in Botswana area and you speak Sesotho, I am greeting you. Akeyi to you. Of course, Naumai to you, to our Maori friends, and Uwelana to you, to our Hawaiian friends. There's so many of you that join us all around the world. So we are so grateful. Dumela to you, to our friends in South Africa, those who speak Soto. Of course, Bonani to you, Kotoli'i to you, to our Fulani friends. Bonjour, Guten Morgen, bonjour, Bomdia. You know all these languages already, so you know. Dobro yo otro to you. We greet you. Welcome. If you did not hear your language, please do me a favor. Go into the comment section and just greet me. I'd love to hear from you. You know what I mean? Yes. Adam Becher, it is good to see you, my friend. Oh my goodness. I see you guys. Yes. Top of the morning to you. Lafia. Ooh, I see you. Girl, you are going there. So many greetings. Thank you. All righty. Everyone knows Zoe loves to talk. So obviously, I've taken like 7 minutes already. Well, it is to my younger self. So hello. All righty. We're going to read a little bit about our author today. What I wanted to do really, because one of our producers gave the most rising or the most amazing write-up about the book, and I thought, how fitting. So I'm going to actually read from behind the book as I am showing you. Rama's Lemon Note. First of all, if you have not gotten the book yet, do me a favor. Go onto BookNook first, especially if you're in Ghana or any part of Africa for that matter, really any part of the world. Go on BookNook first. Okay, the only time you don't get this book from BookNook is if BookNook actually tells you they're out. And if you're in Ghana and Rama herself tells you she doesn't have any more because you guys have done a great job and bought all the books, then maybe go on Amazon. You catch my drift? Yeah, go get the book, but don't stop there. As you finish reading the book, I guarantee you one thing, you are going to be so stuck in the pages, you would not want to put it down. It's an unput-downable book. That's one. Once you're done reading the book, please go on Amazon, go on BookNook, or any place that books are reviewed, and review this book. I want to be able to read your honest opinion. The reason why I say honest is because I know the honest opinion will be mind-blowing. I am so sure of that. I am absolutely sure of that. So one of the things that one of our producers wrote on here, and I'm going to try to read it, trying very hard to read from the lights because I've been looking at the lights for so long, my eyes are adjusting. And so Elsie says, in a series of letters, reminiscent of Mariam Abbas' So Long a Letter, and dare I say, packing as much of a punch, packing way more than a punch. Rabi's Rama's Lemonade is a journey of life lessons. She travels back in time via memories and experiences, but voices them through a future version of herself. Grandma Rama speaking to her granddaughter. Is it any wonder she is on to my younger self today? um, And that is the genius of this book. Rabi straddles the past, present, and the future seemingly effortlessly and delivers very relevant nuggets about life. She deals with complex family relationships, death, friendship, loss, love, work, society's pressures surrounding marriage and having children. She speaks about pain, bouncing back, and recalibrating triumph and peace. Running through Grandma Rama's letters is the undeniable signature of personal faith. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to read everything. You think I would, wouldn't you? You got to go get the book so you can read all of the good stuff for yourself. But I am so excited because I feel like we've kind of set the stage. And I don't want to read Rama's bio because I know there's a lot of young women out there, and I want you guys to kind of suss Rama for yourself. So first, Google her. Go on YouTube and just type in Rama's Lemonade. A couple of videos will pop up. But before you do that, join us on the show first. I want you to rediscover, if you don't know her yet, or if you know her and you kind of didn't know her a lot, rediscover Rama. And then for those of you who are maybe hearing about her for the first time, I want you to discover her for yourself. Okay. So please, just go on there. And when she comes on, you will see why she is one of the best customer experience trainees or trainers in the world, at least in my opinion for now. And a trainer of soft skills to people who need it, and just an incredibly highly effective communicator. I'm going to stop talking and yakking now and kind of bring Rama on. Again, do us a favor. Please go into the share button area and share this link, okay? Invite people, have watch parties and invite them to come on and share. Let's see. Guys, 12 minutes in, Zoe talks a lot. It does not matter. Rama, Rabi. See, I'm going to be calling you Rama all day. Can you hear me, my dear?
I can hear you clearly, but you look a bit frozen on this side. Can
Oh,
you hear me?
no. Am I unfrozen yet?
No, you're still frozen, and I do not understand why. Because
What? But can you hear me?
Oh my goodness, I can hear you clearly. I can hear you clearly, and I am hoping that it's not the internet playing up on me.
See, the devil is a liar. Seriously. Those of you who speak in tongues, can you please start speaking in tongues? Because, hey, Ade, I see my producer is on it. She says I'm not frozen here at all. So I am moving. I'm moving. But Rabi, you are frozen and I can't see you at all. Let's see. Yeah. Seti says it's definitely the internet. Just when the conversation was getting good, and now Rabi is frozen. Oh no, Rabi, if you can hear me clearly, do us a favor. I think the Ghana critters, the internet critters are misbehaving. So if you can sign out and maybe try to sign back in, I'm not sure. But yes, let us make some lemonade. So what I'm going to do is, yes, let's make some lemonade. Before Rabi comes back on, how about I kind of read some of the passages or some of the parts of the letter that kind of hit me hard. If I say hard, I mean hard. Okay. So let's pull it up again. This is Rama's Lemonade. I don't know if you can see it. I love the artwork. Okay. She really made some lemons. I'm not gonna lie. My goodness, she made some lemon. She made some lemonade with the lemons life handed her. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to be reading from page 7. Okay. I was a hopeless romantic. I had so much passion and love inside of me that I knew I was not born for celibacy. This is why it frustrated the life out of me when people asked me the dreaded question and even tried to suggest possible reasons why I had found myself in that predicament. And predicament is in quote. They would say things like, "You're probably being too choosy. There's nothing like Mr. Perfect, you know. You're not getting any younger. Your biological clock is ticking." This is not part of this passage, but you should think about freezing your eggs. I've actually had some people say that to me a while back. I'm like, seriously, why? And other insensitive remarks, as if I don't know. Do you think I am too dumb to know what's good for me? Who would see good marriage material and let it pass? Not me. If I see available marriage material, I will grab it like nobody's business. Ifia looked surprised, as though she wasn't expecting this. Then she burst into a fit of laughter. I tell you, everybody needs an Ifia in their lives. Okay, you need a friend who sees past the nitty gritty and pain of the situation and go straight into laughter, so that the stress can be alleviated. I have a few Ifias in my life, and so thank you for that. And I couldn't help but join in. You're so right, girl. The fact is, no one wants to marry junk. Yempe awaria nikabuka. For those of you who don't speak Chi, can you please, producers and just everyone that's in the audience, can you please, I guess, tell me what nikabuka is so I can, explain it better. So yes, yempe awaria nikabuka. Well, to wit, we don't want a useless marriage. At this point, Ifia is drying tears from her eyes. The belly laughter has triggered her tear glands. I don't want to just hop along with anything in trousers just because everybody else is married and I am scared I'll be left behind. What is the point in getting married if all I get out of it is misery just because I made the wrong choice? And here is the thing that packs a punch for me. I'd rather have 30 years of a marriage made in heaven than 50 years of a marriage baked in hell. Oh, that one, how they say, a comidodom, it went inside me like, yeah, that's this. She is speaking some truth here. Preach on, sister, if you're teased. This, if you're a girl, my goodness. But this is, Rama just going into the nitty gritty of being especially in the African setting, or let me just kind of narrow it down a little bit, in the Ghanaian setting, being a single woman of a certain age, and everybody, all of the aunties and the uncles, and even the young cousins are looking at you with a side eye like, we know there is something terribly wrong with you, no matter how educated you are, no matter what you've achieved in your life. You could be the UN, what is the biggest award now? Because I don't really subscribe to the Nobel Prize, gig because of the history, but you could be the best of the best in every area of your life. And if you are not married, especially for a woman, and you're past a certain age in the Ghanaian setting, everything else I just mentioned means nothing. You have not arrived. And this is what Rama is, kind of going into. And I think we have Rama back. So let's try to bring her back into the studio. This is what happens when you talk a lot. I didn't even realize our guest was back. Rabi, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Zoe. I am so sorry.
No.
I thought that my broadband was going to work perfectly because it usually does. Guess what? Enough data on it, but it decided to check out on me, and I had to switch to the hotspot. I'm hoping that lasts long enough.
It will last. You know what?
I'm so sorry, but we're doing this regardless.
Don't be sorry. Listen, onto my younger self, we roll with the punches. We're not a perfect show. We're just a show where
Good.
we have fun and we show
We
all
have
of the
fun.
flaws.
I
Okay.
guess that's the most
As one
important.
of our producers will say, we're flawsome. Okay. We're
Woo!
flawed and we're awesome. So we're flawsome. So
I
we're
like
good.
that.
We're
I
good.
like that.
Yeah, but so I was just, kind of waiting for you to come back on. I was just reading some of the things that kind of packed a punch for me. And we're talking about Yempawari and Ikaboka and things. But let's go to the very first thing I want to talk about. And I'm going to read this one too. I'm going to pick this one up from page 19. Again, the book is Rama's Lemonade, and I hope you can see it. For those of you who have the book, I hope that you're reading along with us. Please put your comments and your questions in the comment section for me, okay? And we're going to beam it up so that Rabi can read. I'm confusing Rabi with Rama because for me,
yeah. For you, Rabi is Rama, huh?
Exactly. Grandma, granddaughter. I mean,
Double.
But let me start. Let me start here from page 19. And I'm going to start from the very, very bottom. Initially, it felt like a dream, a continuous loud throbbing of something I could not decipher. My sleep had been deep, and graced with pockets of sweet dreams set in different locations. I hadn't slept so satisfyingly in ages. I must have been really exhausted. Then came one thunderous sound that woke me up with a start. I found myself sitting at the edge of the bed in fear, not sure what was happening. The sound had stopped, so I had a few moments to gather my thoughts. Living alone could be hard, though I enjoyed the peace and solitude sometimes. Then the banging started again, then silence, and again, then silence. I grabbed my phone. It was 9:45 a.m. Really? Had I slept for that long? I stood up and walked towards the window, where the sound, which had resumed in earnest, seemed to be coming from. Then I realized what was happening. A reconstruction was going on next door. I had been notified the previous week, but the event of the week had completely wiped that out of my mind. There was no one to blame. In my case, I had enjoyed my fair share of sleep, and Auntie Jocelyn was beckoning. Before we go to Auntie Jocelyn, because I'm gunning for that woman, but before we go there, and hopefully, Auntie Jocelyn, if you're watching, it's still love. But hey, we call a spade a spade. You know what I mean? And it's in the book, so we're gonna go there. But you talk about something very, very. It seemed like you're talking about it in passing, but I wanted to bring it up. You said that living alone could be hard. Living alone could be hard, especially for a young woman. Talk to me a little bit about living alone and some of the things you went through as a living alone single woman in Ghana. I'm so curious.
Living alone. I lived alone for how many years? For a lot of years, because I moved out of my parents' home probably when I was 30. I think so, when I was 30 or 31. Yes, I just come back. So, like 31. So I was living alone for 19 years, I think. Yeah. And living alone. Let's just put that together with being single. In this part of our world. It's hard. You see, it is hard because of the perceptions that people have of you. It is hard because of the way people see you, the way people look at you. And you see, let's not even just take living alone, because even if you're that age and you're living with your parents, you're still single at that age. So it's more like you're living alone. People see you regardless, like you said, regardless of what you have accomplished.
Wow.
You still haven't done it. You still haven't reached that. I remember someone, a good guy, a good man I used to work with, much older than me. And I know he was saying this, he was saying this from a good place. He said that it takes a man to do you a favor to marry you. So if you haven't gotten married, then you haven't found that favor. And I
What?
know, so I was his boss. You know, he was an elderly person, I was his boss, and I knew that he wasn't coming from a place of malice. That was his understanding. That is what he believed. So you can imagine how such a person would look upon me, his boss. So you can imagine how your friends, so from the university, I had quite a few male friends, not that many, I had a few male friends who, were good friends like brother and sister. So they got married along the way and all of that. And you can imagine how in some of the cases their wives looked at you. Okay. Maybe you can understand where they're coming from, because too many things have happened in this life for them not to feel the way they probably felt. When you go into a meeting, you're working, you're in the corporate world, you go into training, where I was working, we had a lot of training sessions. And it gets to a point where in that training program, you are the only single person. And the only examples they can find, I mean, the fact that you are single does not mean that everything else has stopped for everybody else. The only examples they can find to use would be examples of married couples, family, people with their children and all that. And you feel so left out. At that point, you're wishing that the ground will open up and swallow you. Most of the time, the trainer, facilitator doesn't have a clue who you are. It's not their fault. Nothing personal against you. It's just the way life is, And even in church, as a single person, so you start church at an early age. So you've been in church only from your 20s all into your 30s, and you've been in the single department for every single meeting. You are there. It gets to a point you have outgrown that place. Like people that the age gap, becomes wider and wider, 10, 15, almost 20 years. You're still there. So you have to tell yourself that, Rabi, it's time to graduate, like move on, And then still in church, as a single person, on Mother's Day.
Oh, God.
On Mother's Day. I dreaded Mother's Day. So I experienced a few, and then I decided that, Rabi, you're not going to do this again. You're not going to put yourself through this. So on Mother's Day, I will not go to church, because in a few of the places I've been to, it was like, how do I put it? And I want to believe that it wasn't deliberate. People are not sensitive to these things because they haven't walked that path. When you have walked a certain path, you understand better, right? So they'll say things like, can all mothers stand up? I've heard that so many times. I've heard a worse version of that. So when they say all mothers, that excludes a lot of other women, right? Yes. So I see that I'm not the only one sitting. I see several others who are even married sitting, and I realize that the message has gone down well with them. They're married, but they probably don't have children, so they're not included in the mothers. So I've experienced that, and when I got to the point where I said to myself that I'm not doing this again, I'm not doing Mother's Day. I added Father's Day as well, because I said in solidarity.
The person hasn't found
all
me.
the fathers. No, what I mean is, so the way I felt about how people were called out on Mother's Day, I felt the men would feel the same way as well.
Yes.
So I wasn't even going to attend Father's Day either. Let me just stay at home. And you know what? I can worship all by myself, right? I can have church all by myself. So I could do that and still maintain my relationship with God. But yes, it's not an easy thing being a single person in this part of the world, probably even in the diaspora as well. It isn't. It's a hard work. And then, of course, when company is very important, having people around you is super, super important. Loneliness can kill you faster than anything else. Isn't that what happened during COVID, right?
Yes.
So when you live on your own as well, you go to work, you come back, and it's just you. There is food. You can't enjoy the food that much, because some people enjoy to eat or they eat better when there are people around them, when they can share that food with other people.
Yes.
I'm that kind of person. But
Mm.
see, I had to do it this way. Unfortunately, I didn't have a choice. So it was a lemon that had been thrown at me, and I had to find my own way of making good lemonade out of that
Out of
situation.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't have the book, Rabi, do me a favor. I'm not sure, but there's a little bit of a feedback with the sound. So maybe because the volume is just a little loud or something. But
Okay, so maybe it's the
okay.
volume. Let me.
Yeah. So, but we're continuing. And so for those of you who don't have the book, you do have to get the book. The only reason why I say that is, one, we cannot go through all of it today. There is so many, there's so much juice in this lemon that your mind will be blown. Please get it for every young woman that is in your life, whether they're single or married. That's not the point. Just get it for every woman that is in your life. I guarantee you they will come back and thank you, especially because Christmas is around the corner. This would be one of the best gifts you give a person. Actually, I think that it will be the best gift, not one of them, but the best gift, especially for those who love to read. So we're going to continue. And I have stories to share of my own back in the day of how I would come into the house, and the silence was so loud it was deafening in my ear. And I've had experiences where right there, right by the front of the door, I would just break down and start to cry. Not that anything was wrong with me, it was just, you would look at all of the furniture and all of the beautifully decorated space you have, and you would just say, to what end? To what end? There is absolutely nothing. And that's when, and I know there's a couple of young women here who may be going through the same thing. And I know you understand what I'm saying, because I used to go through that, where you're just saying, to what end? And sometimes listen, Satan, he takes any chance he can get in anyone's life. That is when thoughts of suicide come in right away. For me, it used to happen a lot, where you would just say, if you're not in this world, nobody would notice. I thought about that. There's times when you would go to sleep and say, listen, if I pass away right now, nobody will know. It would take a couple of days, really, because nobody comes knocking on your door. Nobody says, let me see if she's awake. So if they're not looking for you because of work, you're done for. And even so, they would just call your phone. They're not going to show up at your house. Maybe it's a little different in Ghana and Africa. There were so many things that I went through in that. Girl, I heard that. Kendi says, Auntie is speaking so much truth. And then there was a part where she says, living alone can be hard. I felt that. So I know, Kendi, I'm so glad that you're in here, Sadi, and, just all of us, just acknowledging this fact. I think most people found a lot of things very interesting in this book, but that was one of the first things that jumped at me. People hardly ever talk about that. And also the fact that when you go to places, Rabi, people would treat you different because you're married or not married.
Absolutely, my dear. You just go on and I'll tell you what happened after I got married.
Ooh, wow. Oh, I'm so curious right now. But we'll go
because talking about how people treat you, it is so true and so unbelievable.
Wow.
So very unbelievable. The level of, should I call it respect? Yeah, respect, yeah. That I started receiving from certain quarters where it was almost non-existent before I got married. I was amazed.
Wow.
I was amazed. And I was disappointed, to be honest. When these same people were all over me, like, Mrs. And I said, since when? Because before my marriage, you would see me and even ignore me. I'm talking about family, And then there's a family gathering and I go, it's after my marriage. And my name is suddenly lost. I am the Mrs. And that's why I deliberately do not use the Mrs. Because I think the way we see things in this part of our world is so, so wrong. wherever I have gone, I have spoken to people and I've said that you need to be a lot more sensitive to single people. Because
Yes.
sometimes you do it and it's almost like you're doing it unconsciously. But it's so ingrained in you that when you're behaving that way, you don't even realize it. But it speaks volumes. When the announcement of my marriage came up,
Oof.
oh, I understand that people were happy for me. I could understand that people were very, very happy for me. But I thought it was a bit too extra, even my father. So I had to approach him one day. And then I asked him, I said, Daddy, I know that you're happy for me, right? But does it mean that before this time you didn't think that I was anything worth celebrating? Is that the case? Because when I wasn't married, yes, you liked and everything, but this joy that I see on your face, this whole change in attitude and behavior is something else for me. And then he explained that, well, no, not that. You're still married or not, you're still a great person. But in our culture, marriage changes a lot of things. People see you differently. Oh, including my dad. I do not blame him. I don't fault him. That's the kind of culture we live in. Unfortunately, so I was thinking, oh, so wow, all the time when I thought that I was this accomplished person, because it got to this point where I couldn't be bothered. And even before the marriage, I had gotten to that point where I had ruled out marriage. It was just my child was enough for me. My friend and I had this joke that we share, Patricia. We say that all the good men are either married or dead. So when I got into my 40s and it wasn't happening, and then I had my son, I adopted my son, I just thought, you know what? I am not going to let anyone come ruin, what I have with my son, come, sabotage his life, come create problems for him. So it's just going to be me and him. Marriage is out. Like, I'm done. So when the marriage happened, and that's also another story that is in the book. When that happened, of course, I was happy, but I dare say I wasn't as excited as everybody else because it wasn't such a big deal for me. So that is why I was looking at people and thinking, how come? Why is it like this? Why don't we celebrate the single? Because there were several things that I had done in my life as a single person.
So many.
That I thought were worth celebrating as well. I thought I was good like that, even without marriage. But marriage has kind of raised me a few notches up. Can you imagine that? That's the kind of society we live in.
And let me just jump in here for those of you again who don't have the book, and I'm gonna just keep ringing and like banging it until you really get why I'm saying go get it. And producer Elsie, you're so right. It's not just for the women that are not married yet. It's for every woman, to be honest, because everyone has to be part of the change. You know what I mean? So please, exactly, do get the book. But just to tack on to it, I wanted to read a few of the comments that are coming in. Seti says, interestingly, people do not know that you can be married and still be lonely or alone. You can be married and not feel at home in your own home. Girl, who are you telling? Isn't that sad? But there was another one that Kendi just posted, and I wanted to read that. Let's see. It says, and it's even harder being single, unmarried, and childless in our African culture. My mom thinks something is wrong with me. I know that LOL is not a good LOL. Oh my goodness, that really hit. So do you realize how we can just kind of sit here and just talk about this one part of the book? But there's so much tea in this lemonade, I can't let it go. All right, let me continue to read because I really do want us to get to Auntie Joycelyn before we get to, you don't know. You don't know. Anyway, I quickly got ready, and by 11 a.m., I was in my car, all dressed up after chowing down some leftover jollof. Ghana jollof. I hardly compromised on my heavy breakfast. It was less than a 10 minutes drive, so before long, I was seated comfortably in Auntie Jocelyn's sofa, exchanging the usual factitious, pleasantries that family members who are not very close would engage in. I was eager, and Auntie Jocelyn did not waste time. We had a week-long revival in church. This part, my heart was doing this. Anyway, it's okay. In church that ended, I've been thinking about you and praying for you, Rama. I listened attentively, not knowing where this was going. Where was this love and concern suddenly coming from? This was one of Mama's. Can you please teach me how to say your mother's
Sika.
name? Sika?
Sika.
Okay.
Sika,
Because
yeah.
the American thing in my brain was doing Sika. Siska? So please, okay, I'm going to just ask her. Okay, so this was one of Mama Sika's several half-sisters who was known for not caring much about other people. Even her own children had issues with her. And this is the thing that packed the heaviest punch. Why don't you consider adoption? And I don't know if you can see my handwriting. I immediately jumped in and I was writing, why? I mean, this is my commentary. Why? Did she get a revelation from that week-long prayer thing?
Yeah.
Did God tell her, like, why do you call... The question hit me like a ton of bricks. That's exactly what happened to me. This was totally unexpected. Not once in my life had I discussed relationships, marriage, or children with this aunt. I could not hide my shock. Auntie Jocelyn, I don't understand. Are you thinking I will not have children of my own? Even so, what about marriage? You don't think I'll get married? I'm only 37, Auntie. I was getting furious inside. Child, Rabi, God bless you. You got furious inside, and it didn't. Hey, you deserve a diplomatic, I don't know, some kind of diplomatic award or something, like something. You. Let me ask. Why did you ever get to the bottom of why Auntie Jocelyn called you that you should come to her house? And when you got there, she had it's your aunt, so I respect her. But I really need to use this word. It's the audacity, especially when I haven't discussed anything about that with you. It was an audacity and a boldness that said, adopt.
Especially when we were not even close, you know?
Yes. So
sometimes you'd be close to someone and you feel like because of the closeness, they've earned a right to speak about certain things in your life. But this one, I wasn't even close to. Yes, that was Mom's half-sister. And there were a lot of things that were going on, whisperings in the family, you know? So when she said that, I knew that it wasn't coming from a place of love. I so knew that it wasn't coming from a place of love.
Wow.
And the next question, you know, when I exclaimed like that, and then she goes like, when did you get your first period? Like, seriously? I am 37. You're asking me when I got my first period? When so much has been said about witchcraft, where you're concerned, you can imagine how my heart jumped. I said, why? And she goes like, oh, it's the menopause. Because if you have your period early, then you get menopause. So she's worried that I am going to become menopausal and therefore will not be able to have children.
Is it your concern? What thing concern you?
And I'm saying that even if it was coming from a place of love, I could understand. But it wasn't. But you see, that's just the kind of thing that people experience. So you have, just because you're single at a certain age and you do not have children, people feel like they have earned the right to speak into your life. They will say things to you. They will recommend all sorts of things. They will recommend people. They will recommend pastors. I had that happen as well. You know,
no, but
and you would go through the process. So
Rabi, I really, What was the thing that gave Auntie Jocelyn that vim and power to literally just even suggest that very flippantly? Have you considered adoption? That was the thing that kept boggling my mind. What was there? What was it? Did you ever find out why she even?
I never found out, but she said it. It's because she thought, well, your biological clock is ticking.
But
You're
why
not going
did
to be
she
able to
tie
have
it
children.
to? I'm stuck here. Why did she tie it to the week-long prayer revival?
Yes, so
She could have called you at
the
any
sweet
time.
auntie has been praying, isn't it? So she's trying to say that, I've gotten some ministration. The Lord is saying something to me about your life. You see the way they do it?
Oh my God.
A subtle form of manipulation. And at the time she was suggesting adoption, I do not know if she had someone in. I had no idea. But of course, I didn't give her the chance to carry on with that. I just did not give her the chance to carry on with that. She noticed from my reaction that this wasn't an area that she could continue on, wasn't the path that she could continue on. But
So
I was
this
broken.
woman at your wedding?
Long story, no. That side,
Thank you,
no,
Jesus.
no, not at my wedding. That side of the family was cut out.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And again, to be honest,
And that's in the Vendetta. I think it's chapter 5
yes,
or 6.
you have to get the book in order to even understand why I asked this question, was she at your wedding? You have to get the book. And once you read it, you would go, my goodness. So if we stay here in just, page 19, 20, and 21, we will not finish this conversation today. So I'm going to take all of the things I'm feeling in my heart about just that conversation, put it in my pocket so that, I think Elsie, she just made a wonderful suggestion for those of you who belong to book clubs. Buy it and kind of buy a lot for your book club members and things like that. And then there is so much lemonade to discuss in this book, your mind would blow. And I think we just proved that 46 minutes in, and we have just touched on maybe 2 pages of this book. Can you imagine that? Alrighty, so I'm gonna go to another part. And this lady, God bless you, Rabi. Rabi talks about in the book how one of either your friends or your cousins had told you that, Rabi, you will kiss a lot of frogs before you kiss, Prince Charming. And so she goes on in the book to kind of talk to her granddaughter about some of the frogs that she kissed. And there is one particular frog that, during the dry run, I asked you, I said, how did you not find some brothers to beat him down, literally? How did you not do that? But I'm going to breathe and I'm going to read it. But this is in chapter 3, and it starts with the deceitful professor. So, okay, and I'm going to set it up a little bit for you. Rabi is she's in the UK. She's met this nice gentleman. One thing leads to another. And his name is here. It could be, it's not his real name, but we'll just call him that, Felix, or Felix, as Americans would say, is so enamored with her, and, relationship is going well and all that. Here's the part that I want to talk. Here. Mama Sika was a member of a mega church. I'm reading from page 38 in Ghana, and she served in their ushering department. There was a lady in the department Mama Sika had never spoken to, but according to her, she felt a strong urge to engage that lady in a conversation after church on Sunday. She approached the lady and introduced herself. And when the lady mentioned her name, Mama Sika realized she had the same surname as Felix. The surname was not a very common one, so Mama Sika asked if she by any chance knew a Felix in the UK who bore the same surname. With a look of surprise on her face, the lady responded, "Yes, I know him. He's my brother, and he's currently in Ghana as we speak. How are you associated to him?" she quizzed. "He's my daughter's boyfriend, but looks like they're having some challenges." The lady shook her head, then, with a smile on her face, remarked, "Maybe it's good for your daughter that this is happening because my brother has a wife in Ghana with whom he has." I need to sip tea. I need to sip tea. Has a wife in Ghana with whom he has 2 children. By the time he's ready to return, the wife will be pregnant again. That's just the way he behaves. And
I have
again,
no idea what people have gone through.
So
Yep.
please, I don't want to give everything away. So how about you kind of tie it up for us how this went? And I want you to we're going to do this different. Tell us what you did because it's in the book, but tell us what you did to the young man after he came from Ghana to the UK because I was jumping. This was my part. I was like, man, I would have still given him a beating, but this was the good part. This was it. Go ahead, Rabi.
So he had gone on holiday in Ghana when I found
Whilst
out.
you're doing that, we'll charge this laptop. Like I said, we're doing things a little different today, guys. So let's go. Keep talking, please.
Okay, so he was on vacation in Ghana. I was in the UK. Before he went to Ghana, I had said to him, "You know what? I don't think this is working. You're a good guy. Let's break up." And this guy had cried, like he had cried a bucket full of tears, right? And I was feeling so bad. That's actually what got me calling my mom back in Ghana to say that this is what is happening. I don't feel right about this relationship, and I'm breaking up with this guy. The way he's feeling, it's making me feel like, at that age, you're in your 30s and you're breaking up. The way people say you're fussy and all of that. When I spoke to my mom said that, Rabi, if you do not feel good about the relationship, don't force yourself into it. Don't rush into it. Just relax and pray about it. So this is before the gentleman went to Ghana. Now, when he was in Ghana, I gave my mom a call some random day. And my mom is so excited when she hears my voice. She's like, "Rabi, God is good. God is good." And I kept saying, "Yes, all the time. What is it?" That was when she mentioned that she had been to church the day before. It was actually a Monday. And she had been to church on Sunday and she had met this gentleman's sister. And apparently this gentleman is married in Ghana with 2 children. Now, this is a gentleman who was begging me literally to get married in the UK. And I had said that, look, I'm the only child of my parents. I do not see myself getting married in the UK. So if I'm going to get married, it's going to have to be in Ghana. And that was like one of the main problems, where to get married, And he said his dad had been giving him a lot of pressure. He's not growing any younger. His dad keeps telling him to get married. This is a guy who would, he was a Christian, man. Like, this guy will pray before he set out. He will pray before he starts his car. His dial was always on Premier Radio, the Christian radio station, and you would think that angels are his friends, right? We were going to have 2 children according to him, and he had given the names of the 2 children. And guess what? The names of the 2 children were the real names of his own children who were in Ghana. That's what I found out later. Anyway, so when I heard this, I said, no problem. This is someone I was breaking up with, and he was, still trying for us to keep the relationship. So I thought, not very nice, but I still haven't regretted doing that. I wasn't the kind of person who would, ask for money from someone I was in a relationship with. I would struggle to do stuff myself. But this guy was quite, generous. So he would also do stuff for me. He was a nice person. He knew how to treat a woman. Okay. So I had my rent coming up. My cousin was going to be visiting me from Germany, and I was a student and I was working part-time. I didn't have that much money. So I thought, you know what? I can't just go down like that. It's a bad situation right now, but let me make something good out of this situation. So I just kept calm. I spoke to him in Ghana. He had no clue that I had found this out. I started being extra nice, as if I had changed my mind about that whole relationship. I really wanted to get into a relationship with him. And it was about 2 weeks more for him to come back to the UK. So for the 2 weeks, I had to fake. It was hard. So I just faked this. He came back to the UK, and what? When he came back to the UK, we still had about 6 days more for him to be paid, which meant that I needed to exactly. I didn't even know I had that in me, right? So he comes back and he's so excited. And guess what? He says that, Rabi, you know what? Now we can actually get married in Ghana. I was confused, given what I had heard and what I knew. I thought this guy is so weak. Like,
he's a psychopath.
Yeah, I played along. I was just, being very, very nice. And he was a very, very jealous person. So those 6 days before I finally told him, oh man, I hurt him. Like he was very possessive. And there were a couple of people in my office who had expressed interest where I was working, and he knew about them. So I would, play this game with him where I'll say, this person is picking me up. And one of them was actually a married person. So I said, this person is picking up to a party, and he was upset. Don't you know that guy's a married man? I said, no. He didn't say that, don't you know that guy? No, I said that. I said, look, why are you so upset? He's a married man. Then he goes like, do you know what married men can do? And in my head, I was laughing because, yes, you're right. I know you're a married man, but you don't have a clue. So we went on like that. And then finally, when he got paid, it was, I think, a Friday or a Saturday. He said he wanted to do my grocery shopping for me. So he took me to Tesco, and we had the shopping part. And my dear, I have never shopped that much in my life. And he didn't, this is groceries, right? And at a point, he was surprised. He was wondering, what is happening? So I picked something. He goes like, do you really need that? And I said, yes, I need it. My cousin is coming. So I just filled up. And then we moved to the Ghanaian shop. And the African shops are expensive.
Very expensive.
I just went there and I loaded my yams and everything. Like, I'm leaving you and I'm not going to leave you broke, right? Got got everything, all the supplies I needed. And then, so that was a lot of money he had spent. And then I had the rent thing. He was definitely going to pay that rent. So after all that shopping, he goes to the ATM and he takes out the rent for me. And then he drops me at home. We take my stuff inside. So actually, he's sitting in the car. I take my stuff inside. And then when I had taken the last one, I come back into the car, I sit in front with him. And then I ask him, have I done anything ever since we met? Have I done anything, to hurt you? I just want to know, just doing my own introspection. And he goes like, nothing. You're such a wonderful person. That is why I'm so in love with you and I want to marry you. God, I could have shot him there. Then I said to him that you have a wife and kids in Ghana. And he looks at me shocked. And he's looking a bit shocked, but he goes like, as for you and all these things, and where are you getting that thing from? The way they make you feel like you're going crazy, you're imagining things. Yes. And then I mentioned his sister's name. I said, your sister is in Winners Chapel with my mom. And she told me, you should have seen his face. You should have seen his face. He sat quietly for a while and then he goes like, I'm very sorry because I love you so much. And I knew you wouldn't have accepted me if you knew how.
You didn't throw him.
Hey, that book, that completely shattered me. See, this is someone I was already leaving before I heard this news. So you should know that it wasn't because I was so in love with him. I was already leaving him. But when my mom said that to me, told me what she had found out, I was shocked. I was hurt, yes. But hearing it from him, hey, I couldn't believe it. I broke down. I cried. I cursed him. I shut the door. I banged the door. I said, "You, God will punish you." I shut the door. And I remember that night in my room, I cried and cried. I called him. I asked him, "Who knows? So do all your friends know you're married? Was I the only one?" It was horrible. I didn't realize that people could be so wicked.
So his friends knew, but they said nothing to you.
So his friends were not like my tight friends. I didn't even have their numbers, that I could find out from them. So these are people I would meet maybe every now and then if I was in his place. Yeah. So I was wondering, what do they even think of me? Did they even know? Because they're all living in the UK. Probably they don't even know that he's got this people teacher in Ghana who he's got kids with, who's married to. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they know. I don't know. I didn't get the answers. But that was the last time. That was the deceitful professor. Hey, and he was a professor.
Can you imagine that?
Yes. Yes.
Education does not equate empathy or morality or good character. Again, for those of you who think you must marry an educated man, Harvard law and all that stuff. Education means nothing. It's here, the thing that's in the heart. That's what matters the most. Just the deceitful part of it. But girl, I am so excited for you. See, I even took off my earring because I'm just like, nah, this first, kudos to you for not punching him in the face, because I think maybe I probably would have done that. And second, what show of character, even on your part. Well, shoot, you did good. You didn't even shop like that. You should have taken him to Harrods and gotten some other, clothes and shoes and just kind of like finish him proper.
I was learning, I was learning. I was so naive in that space. Wow. Can you imagine? Later, I was like, I should have done all of this.
Yeah. So guys, you see how this tea was good, this lemonade about the deceitful professor. Let me tell you about some of the other frogs that Rabi kissed, okay? And we're not going to go into it because I want you to grab the book, Rama's Lemonade, and kind of read. There's so much tea in this, like I don't even know how to. And you see the detail with which Rabi just explained and told us this particular story about the deceitful professor. All of these people she met and dated and all that stuff. The detail is like that. And every single one of you will have you going, huh? What? Huh? Yes, I went through that. So here are a few of the people, of the frogs, and they have titles. So let me give you one of the titles: the armed robber. This one, he was Trese, or a robber. Just he was. I'm sorry for those of you who don't speak the tree that I am speaking now, because sometimes something is lost in translation. You know what I mean? So I couldn't help it, but. This one was an armed robber. Okay? Get the book. I guarantee you. Just get the book. And then get the book. I'm looking for the content section so that I can go
that's one thing I can't even get over.
Man, that one was something else. And I really am trying not to give it away because, okay, let's tease them a little bit. Eventually, this guy got he got into cops and robbers. Cops and robbers, bushak shooting. Yeah, in Ghana, okay? And kind of, let me leave it there so that you can, you,
This is really teasing, huh?
and then there was the con artist.
The con
Hey,
artist.
I said, Rabi, like, hey.
Yeah.
And you know how this con artist, you know where
These
he
are the
was?
significant three.
The significant
I said
three.
these are the significant three. There were many more.
The con artist was actually in a prison cell, guys. That's all I'll say. That's but let's move on. Let's get the book. But she did kiss a couple more frogs. And the beautiful part of this whole thing we're doing here is that Rabi definitely is a married woman, which is, like she said, it shouldn't be like the big thing because, girl, if you know, she has two businesses on her own already before working, as a customer service experience person. She's hosting two radio shows concurrently and inspiring people and thousands of people. Okay, and of course, eventually she does adopt the most amazing kid, Ethan. I'm kind of fast
The
forwarding
best thing
because
that ever happened. That's
yes,
the best thing that ever happened in my life. That
yes.
bit is the
Mhm.
best.
Wow. And we're going to come back and talk about the adoption in detail. But before we do that, there's a part that really, 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 really broke my heart. Is when Mama Sika passed away. And by the way, my condolences to you because I've lost my mom, so I know what that is. And I kept thinking to myself, my goodness, if I had to go through even a millisecond of what you went through with your family, I don't know that I would have survived it. But look at you. I mean, Jesus Christ of Nyankopon, like I normally like to say. But in Ghana, there's a saying that family members love dead bodies. I am doing a literal translation. But this is a classic example of people loving dead bodies, but in a what's the word I am looking for? In a wicked way. It wasn't. I I am lost for words. So, Rabi, how about you take it over? This is the vendetta. You take over. You don't have to go into details, but at the end, how you left it with Mama Sika and Mama Sika's family members, and then hopefully the audience will kind of pick it up and we'll have some discussions there. Yeah.
That's hard for me. That was the hardest part of the book. That was the most difficult part of the book. I was engulfed with so much emotion. So Mama Sika died 11 years ago. And one would have thought that after 11 years, when you're recounting the story, it doesn't come with so much pain and hurt. But unfortunately, it did. So that was really, really hard for me. But how do I cut such a long story short? So for some strange reason, after my mom passed, I am the only child. So it was just myself, my dad. My dad, who's a Muslim, didn't marry anybody else or didn't have children anywhere else. I mean, I remember after losing my sister, I thought, oh, this man should have had other children, so I would have siblings. But hey, it's all good that he didn't, So it was just me, him. He was visually impaired at the time. So we expected more empathy than what we saw happen with the family. So I do not know. That's why I call that chapter the vendetta. I do not, up to this day, know exactly why they did what they did, but it was as if they were just waiting for my mom to pass, and then they will teach us a lesson. For what reason, I do not know. So you lose your mom, and actually, before you lose your mom, you've gone through that emotional shaking, that mental torture, because it's cancer. And she's in hospital. I was in the UK on vacation when, I was
It's
called
not
and I had to rush down, get a doctor. By God's grace, I got a good doctor, I got a good place for her, back and forth from the hospital and home. Remember, you're single, you're on your own.
yes.
And all of that traumatic experience, not knowing there was worse waiting for me after she died. Straight on, these siblings who are half siblings take over, and it's like the body,
So,
according to
Rabi,
our custom.
before you go on, let me ask you.
Mm.
When mom was sick and in the hospital, did any of these guys ever show up to say, Rabi, what do you need? How can we
Oh,
help?
they showed up to see her, but not once did anybody ask me, how are you coping? What medication are you getting? What do you need? There was nothing for me. They showed up to see her. Definitely, they did. Because she had always been there for them. It's something she would do. But nobody asked me anything about, what they didn't even know what the doctors had said. They had no clue. They just knew that, yes, this is it. It was breast cancer, period. And then she passes, and straight away they tell me that the body is for, according to our custom, the body is for the paternal family, blah, blah, blah. And they start saying all kinds of things about what they're going to do. And at this point, I realized I am at the disadvantage. I am vulnerable. I am at the weaker end. So approach this whole thing with humility. I go to them. I kneel before them. I cry. I call elders at dawn because what they were proposing was ridiculous. Like I begged, literally. They wouldn't listen. I engaged my dad's family to get involved. They did, but they wouldn't listen. It was getting so bad. At this point, I was shrinking. I was losing so much weight. My dad was in a terrible state. And it hit me one day that, look, you know what? It looks like you're going to lose your dad as well. And I knew I couldn't handle the two at the same time. I just could not. Something had to happen. And I couldn't even pray much. I would just say, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. And then one day, a friend, not someone I knew that well, I was hosting a radio show then. So she had been one of the callers in. And she had heard about me losing my mom. And I think she had been praying for me. And then she calls and gives me a word. She literally had this word of knowledge for me, where God had shown her a few things about my life, things that happened in childhood. I think it was just so that I would know that this was God speaking to me. And then what was finally said was that, in other words, so the plan you have, walk in that plan. I will be with you. Nothing will happen to you. And that was just what I needed at the time, because what I had planned to do, I hadn't seen it happen anywhere. I had planned to cut off, ask my dad if he was going to be with me on that journey, cut off from the family, let them take that dead body, do with it whatever they wanted to do, so that we would hold a separate memorial service for my mom. Because I could see my father deteriorating, and I didn't want that. I needed to stand up. I realized that these people just wanted to cause us so much pain. They wanted to, for some reason, bring shame to my mother, even in her death. I saw that other people didn't understand. They didn't know what I knew. So obviously it was difficult for them to even understand and go along with me. It was hard. Who does that? Who, just decides that I'm going against the grain? Family, you can take the body, I'll do something else. And you are the only child. When I spoke to my dad about it, my father is that man who will never go against custom. He is so old school. He will always go with what tradition says. But again, because I had the approval of God, when I spoke to my dad, surprisingly, he was a bit hesitant. And later he says, you know what? I'm with you. So then he spoke to his family elders. And they said, let's give it one last try. Let's engage the family again. They did. And they literally got sacked from the family home. And they came to me and said, Rabi, we're with you 100%. We're supporting you. Let's go the way you want to do. So I had to let go of my mom's body. What I said, I wrote to them and I said, you know what? When she was alive, we loved her. We did our best for her. and she knew that before she passed. What is left of her is carcass. That is what it is. Her spirit is somewhere else. So you can take that carcass, do with it what you want to do, and we'll have a separate memorial service. And they thought it was a joke. They called my bluff, and it happened. A week before they had theirs, we had a whole ceremony for my mom. And that's where I had closure. The following week, they were going to bury her body somewhere I had no clue of. But you see, I had closure when we had our memorial service for my mom. And since then, there has not been contact with that side of the family. I had a couple, try and reach out, and I knew it wasn't, again, from a place of love. The same auntie was trying to reach out, and now I said to her, you know what? I know you don't mean well. Let it be. And for 11 years, this is what it has been. You know what's interesting? When my mom was alive, she would go everywhere, where family was concerned. She would do everything. She had just one child, that's me. She would make every contribution. In fact, it was very burdening on me financially because for everything I had to give money. I said, you have only one child. These your half people, half siblings. They've got several children who are contributing, and you're doing everything. And it's not like your moms are not the same. If something happens to your mom, it's just you. For them, there's several of them. Nobody's even going to give you in Sawa for your mom. So why are you going on and on? And she kept saying that I'm doing this because of you. So that when I am no more, you will get support. Every single thing she did because of me. One day she said that thing again, like, Rabi, I'm doing it because of you. I said, you know what, mom? When you're gone, I will bury you. Don't worry. It's a grown child's responsibility to bury their mom. So I will do that for you. Do not worry. And then I realized her face lit up. She said, Rabi, are you sure? That was when I saw that this was her concern. This was her concern. So when that was happening, I said, I'm going to do this. I am going to give my mom a befitting send-off. Let them take carcass and do whatever they want to do with it. But for me, I will send off my mom. And by the grace of God, I was able to do this. And people say that you're strong, you're strong. I mean, I think for every woman whose strength is in the Lord, there's a lot you can do. But it wasn't just about me being strong. Honestly, it was scary. There were so many things that were said. But I had a word. I was assured. I knew that God was with me because I had done nothing wrong. My dad had done nothing wrong. My dad and my mom, they lived together for all those years, for over 40 years. And they were even friends before. So, and she was the one taking care of my dad who was visually impaired. So what is this whole rubbish about alienating us from the funeral? So that is actually what happened. Very, very painful experience. I'm not too sure how many people can go through that as being the only child. And I think they saw that. So they thought that was where they were going to get me. I would definitely come around and then they would be able to do their manipulation and achieve whatever they wanted to achieve. But by God's grace, not me. It didn't happen. So I always say family is not just blood. Family is not just blood. Because I've lost that part of the family, but I have got, God has given me some other very wonderful people who play that role in my life. And I'm thankful. After how long are we here for? So,
oh my goodness. And guys, I have to put it up here. This, Rabi doesn't tell you everything in the book because, again, I think it's better when you read it. I really do think so. But the whole experience was so harrowing for me just reading it and what she had to go through for a person that had passed on. I cannot even imagine how or why people do that. My sister is here and she put it in the comment section and she says, it sounds familiar, family, and she has a lamentation. We went through our own version of that, except, the part where they didn't kind of, hug the body and all that. And I don't know how we can change this conversation as a country, as a culture, but I am so glad that you figured out what was really important, which is that it wasn't really the body that was laying there, because in the spirit realm, the body really at that point meant nothing. And I wish that most people would, if not everyone, would understand that the body itself, this is nothing after the death. You know, I've heard stories where people have passed away and dead bodies are in the morgue for 3 years. To what end? Paying morgue bills. I was about to say mortgage, and I
Mortgage.
just made the connection, mortgage and morgue, paying all these bills just to keep a dead body in the freezer because you cannot agree who or what side of the family owns the body. How do you own a body? You don't even own yours. It makes no sense to me. And I am so sorry that you even had to, that was a bone of contention, even that we're not gonna let you see your mom, or when
That the
you.
body is ours, but like some prized possession. Yeah.
Yes, that was another part that just kind of hit me again in this book, Rama's Lemonade. I'm telling you, Joyce, yes, you just put that there. I'm anxious to get this book. Joyce, you will not be disappointed. And it's not a cumbersome book, because after I was done reading it, and I was telling you guys last week, I read this book in one sitting, 176 pages. I mean, 68 pages, I'm sorry. I wrote a note to myself. What did I learn after I read this whole book? And I wrote it here. I have learned empty barrels make the most noise about themselves. And this book was not about that, because my goodness, the people in this book were making the most noise about themselves, and almost every one of them was an empty barrel, especially in the family setting. That's what I wrote. That's the thing I wrote. What I wrote about it was concerning the family, that they made the most noise and they had no substance because they thought they were hurting a child. How do you hurt a child whose mother has passed on? It makes no sense to me. As a Ghanaian culture, as we're telling stories and we're trying to change the conversation, let us remember what is most important. When the body is gone, guys, it is truly gone. If that body, spirit is not going to the right place, which is heaven, nothing you do, no matter how you dress the body and how you lay it in state or don't lay it in state, all of those things mean absolutely nothing. You can bury that body with all the gold in the world, and the gold would cough itself up and the body will not be there because it means nothing. The spirit matters. And I am so glad that everyone is kind of talking about this. You have to get the book. This is one of the most amazing comments. Auntie Araba, my beautiful, oh my God, God sent angel, Auntie Araba says, congratulations, Rabi.
Auntie Araba, oh my goodness. I can't wait to speak to you. When I found out who Auntie Araba was, my goodness. I can't wait to speak to you.
I know.
And I am planning to get your number.
Listen, I'll be the
so much.
plug-in.
Thank you.
A very well-written book. God is still smiling on you. Yes. And Marion,
and she wrote a review for me. Thank you, Auntie Araba.
Yes, like we said, guys, after you read this book, you must go on Amazon and on BookNook and leave a review. Okay, I know the reviews will come deep from your heart. I just want to wait to see. Marion says, same here, reading it in one sitting. Just couldn't see what I'm talking about? I can't lie even if I wanted to. Like, I just got a seconder and a thirder, and let's jump straight to, as for this one, I know this conversation will go past an hour, so I'm kind of relaxed, and everyone is
and
here.
I am having fun.
But let me tell you, Rabi goes on to have the most amazing 40th birthday. Oh my God. I don't want to
Mm,
give away the
mm,
details.
mm,
You have
mm.
to go in there and see for yourself what she did for her 40th. And enter EJ. Okay, so let's talk about EJ a little bit. And I cannot wait to meet EJ myself. But tell us the events, just in synopsis form, the events that led to you and EJ being brought together. And if you, honestly, I don't want to even ask why you did it. There shouldn't be a why, and your why should be yours. So don't tell us why you did it, but you did it. So tell us. I'm kind of setting it up because I don't want them to know why I'm saying EJ. Who is EJ, and how did that happen? Tell us that.
Oh, I need to start from somewhere. Okay, so
Somewhere.
yes. So I've had adoption on my bucket list
Sorry,
since
Rabi,
over.
before you go on,
Mm.
Joyce, the name of the book is Rama's Lemonade. I don't know if you can see it. The lighting today is not too good, unfortunately, guys, but it's called Rama's Lemonade. And producer Elsie, if you would do me a favor, please type it in the comment section. And if you can grab the link on BookNook and also on Amazon and kind of just plug it in here so it's easier for people to find it. But Joyce, it's called Rama's Lemonade on Amazon and BookNook. All right, go on.
Yes, so I had plans of doing this adoption thing.
Mm-hmm,
That's even way before that auntie mentioned it.
mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm,
so I used to read the Ebony magazine. I
mm-hmm,
loved Ebony magazine. And then in one of the editions, I found out that the founder had passed and the one who was taking after him was his daughter. So there was some story about him, how they never had children and they had adopted two children. The
mm-hmm.
male had passed and they had this one who had grown into a wonderful woman who was taking over the empire. And I thought, this is it. This is
Mm,
the God thing to do. This is the kind of thing that I want to do.
mm-hmm,
So then I knew that I was going to get married, have two children, and then adopt two children. And then life happens, right? So that doesn't happen that way. When I was turning 40, I was thinking there's nothing to celebrate. I wouldn't do this 40 thing. I want to run away, go somewhere far away where nobody knows me. I don't need to be celebrated, blah, blah, blah. But eventually that changed. A few people got me to change my mind. I enjoyed my 40th. Then
mm-hmm,
after the 40th, I thought, what am I doing here alive? Really, like, so I had my suicidal thoughts. Some way, somehow, I came through. And then I said, yes, all the good men are either married or dead, right? But I
oh,
love children so much.
mm-hmm,
I adore children. I've done Sunday school in my own home for kids. When I see kids in the mall with their parents, I'm reaching out to them like I want to grab them. I just so love kids that I didn't see my life. I didn't know what I would be doing here without kids.
mm-hmm.
So, long story short, I said it's time to do the adoption. Doing it now. I spoke to a couple of people. I got information. And I even got someone to pick forms for me. I had the forms in my bag. I knew that, I was a bit busy at work. I'll find time, complete the form, and send to the social welfare. Just before I could even do that, I get a call about a baby who has been abandoned. And it's a boy. And when I was thinking adoption, I thought, okay, at least start with a girl, someone you can play with, be friends with,
Mm-hmm.
plait her hair, do stuff with her hair. Boy, so I said to my cousin who called me, that, oh, I want a girl. And then she insists, at least go look at the baby. If you go and you still feel the way you feel, that's fine. I go look at the baby. I hold the baby in my arms. And it was like,
Nanyan.
yeah, there was something happened. There was some exchange. I believe there was some divine exchange that happened. I fell in love with the baby. And I did everything that I had to do. I did my forms, completed, got all the help that I could get for the adoption process, I did it all. And within probably 2 weeks, I was a mother.
Oh
An
my
unprepared
God.
mother in the sense that I didn't have the stuff, but I was a mother and I had fantastic people who supported me that weekend before the baby came. We got stuff.
Mm,
got ready. And I had my wonderful, wonderful son. He has been such a blessing. And when I adopted him, I had a few people, and again, it's normal. This is the kind of culture we live in. Adoption is supposed to be hush hush. Don't talk about it. And you don't even know who you are adopting. You don't know what family they are coming from. It could be also some of these children don't turn out well. I heard all of that, and I still went against the grain. I said, you know what? I am going to shout it out loud. From day one, I started telling people. When we went through the process, got the legal process completed, I just made it like public. I had my outdooring for my baby, made it public. This is my son. And you see, because of my whole attitude towards my darling son, everybody else came around. There was no way I was going to be hiding this and then looking over my shoulders, wondering who knows what. What are they telling me?
Yeah, but it didn't
I wasn't
even
going to
make
live like
sense,
that.
Rabi. It made no sense because one, they didn't see you pregnant, which is a sign that you're going to have a child.
Yes.
Why did they think you not speaking about it would? Because they would still talk about you behind your back and say, "I wonder who's
that's what they
child
wanted."
that is.
Yes, they wanted that so that they have that power.
No,
But I broke all of that. I broke it, and I spoke about it because I wanted also to demystify that notion of adoption.
Yes,
that was something I wanted to do long ago, but I just wanted to do it within that context of having my own family, husband, children, and all of that. But it didn't happen that way. God knows why. And I wasn't going to let this stop me. And it's been such a blessing because through me, so many other people have gone to adopt. And they are happy is an understatement because the kind of feeling, the kind of fulfillment you get with this experience is out of this world. I am telling you. There are times when I feel like I actually birthed him. And because I've told him his story, my son is 8 years now. He's totally confident in who he is. He can tell you his story. When he meets you and he's having a conversation with you, he's going to ask you if you're a tummy, like if you're mommy, if you're a tummy mommy or a forever mommy, because he knows me as his forever mommy. And he knows that his tummy mommy is in heaven, right? Yeah, so he's going to have that conversation with you. So there was this day I was just goofing. Sometimes when he misbehaves, I like to behave like our parents in those days. Like, do you know how I struggled when I was having you? And he goes like, come on, mommy, you didn't have me. I mean, I can't get away with just trying to, fake anything with my son. He knows his story. He will point it out to you. He will tell you, it is so good that he is so confident in who he is. So nobody can corner my child anywhere and say to him that, do you know that she's not your mom? Do you know? No,
right.
No,
or that there's a secret about you, that's going to shatter his life. And
he totally knows it. And he is very, very comfortable. He's happy about it. He tells me that he's going to adopt a lot of children, so that's what we're talking about. Wow. And for me, that is Christianity. That is Christianity. Yes. When I adopted as a single person, I know that the church was not particularly crazy about it.
Are they not calling you back now, though? I be seeing you on pulpit.
Oh yes. But that is how it is, you see, unfortunately. And you see, isn't it better for people to find fulfillment, even as single people, rather than have suicidal thoughts, want to end it? For me, yes, I had suicidal thoughts, but now my number one prayer, probably my only prayer, is that I will live to see my son through all his major milestones.
And then see this granddaughter that you're writing to.
See the granddaughter. I want to live, so I want to be relevant. I want to do stuff. Doesn't that make me a better person?
It does.
For the world,
for society and the world, yes.
If I was discouraged, I allowed myself to be discouraged from doing this. Where would I be now?
Wow.
Where would I be? And it's this son who says that, Mommy, I need a new daddy. It's this son who leads me on the path of marriage, not myself, because I thought I was.
Let me tell you something, Rabi. Don't give away the tea, okay?
Hey.
We don't want you to give away this lemonade. You must get the book and sip it. The way we're sipping that the lemonade is so tight. Okay, let me set it up for you. How through EJ, this is what God will do. And again, you kind of have to get the book to really get the meat of it. But in my mind, I set it up this way. And can I just say, it opened up God to me in such a big way. This your experience here that I'm about to set up for you guys. How God will bring somebody from a different continent, by the way, a different continent, but set it up through someone who goes through, for those of you who are familiar with the geography and terrain of Ghana, go through Kumasi to Bolgatanga to meet a person she begins to call father. Oh my God, Ralia, does this sound familiar to you? And through that, there is a knowing of Rabi, but just through TV or something, and how all of that ties in together, and EJ's prayer that moves. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, at that point, I was standing on my couch doing this. That's how I was reading okay, I wasn't sitting, I wasn't lying down, I stood up on the couch going like this and going, and I just kept reading, and because the story is so tight, and how God will bring people out of your peripheral. These are not people that were even in her circle, okay, to make this marriage happen. And not that the age matters, but I wanted to mention the age because, one, Rabi has said it herself many times. But I think when I use the age, I use it in the sense that no one can define time to God. Because for me right now, Rabi looks like she's 25, okay? And this is her 25-year-old self doing the incredible thing she's doing now.
Thank you.
You know, she life began at 25 for certain people. And this, for her, life began at 25 too. She's just now physically even catching up. Like, just look at her. But Rabi, through EJ and from Kumasi to Bolgatanga to all these things and different continents, got married at 49 years old to the most amazing person. And I'm not going to give away the tea, but all those happenings in there that are detailed in this book, and EJ's prayer, though, my goodness. We're not giving it away. We can't give it away, but you have to get the book to read. And I wish you would see what I did in this book. But I have all these things. I have, what? That's all I have.
Imagine.
Like, what? But one of the most powerful things at the very beginning of the book, which I now have on my phone, because it's helping me a lot, and I wish that people would see it, is because I downloaded it and I put it there. It says reset, restart, refocus as many times as you need to. And I love what Rabi did with this book, because after every letter, there's a very beautiful, most powerful saying in the book that kind of just, for me, after I got that, I had already gotten everything I needed. Reset, refocus, and I just started to do all the reimagine, readjust, recalibrate, redream, all of those things. And then it sank in for me. You can do it as many times as you need to, even in one day. If you need to reset every hour, it's okay. And there is nothing wrong with you. And that's what Rabi did with this book. It is a game changer. There's so many incredible books that have come through onto my younger self, and we're always saying, oh my God, we really should make movies about it. And when I don't take it lightly when I say this, because we do a lot of prayer before people come onto my younger self. And every single one of them has such a powerful story. And I have to say it here. Honestly, Rabi, this should be a movie. Your life, I think now I'm just gonna, we have to find a wing of To My Younger Self that curates a specific kind of book for the movies. I don't know Bix's Elsie, who is our lawyer and our producer. I don't know how we're gonna jump into it, but that's a dream I certainly have, because it played like a film in my mind. It played like a period piece in my mind. It played for me that 100 years from now, a young girl, much like you and I, would sit and say, have you seen that movie, Rama's Lemonade? That's the movie that changed my life. Do you see? It's it's so incredible. And I'm gonna stop gushing. I'm gonna. What did Audrey think? Stop it, Zoe Baraka. I know. Because I've read the book, I kind of feel like I'm an authority in it, and I'm not really teasing you, but I really am, because I feel like if you don't get the book, you're doing yourself a disservice. It will really recalibrate the way you see humanity and life. You know, yeah, I think it will. See, you are so right. Rama's Lemonade does sound like a movie I watched. And then Auntie obviously says, good idea, Baraka. That will be a great movie. Do you see what I'm talking about? So, hey, I guess you and Bix's Elsie got to go into talks somewhere, as our lawyer and you as an author. We have to maybe figure out how to buy the rights to this movie, or work together as a team. I don't know, but this is something we definitely should have on. Yes, and now it will become a movie. It's done. Somebody just declared it. It will become a movie. And guess who?
Very prophetic.
At the helm of affairs, trying to get it to be a movie. Yours truly, the filmmaker herself, Zoe Baraka. But Rabi, what an incredible time I have had with you. I love this conversation with you because we didn't necessarily have questions. We just came and picked parts of the book and kind of talked about it. It is so incredible. You're an incredible woman, and I am excited for you. Oh my goodness. Our love to EJ. Our love, let me break some chains a little bit. Our love to Mr. Brimah, not your father, but the husband, because I'm being.
Okay, I get it.
Because once he married you, suddenly the two have become one. So our love to him also. My goodness. But don't go away yet. I'm gonna do a few of the needful, just through my cue card, and then we'll come back, because I want you to give the young women, really, I just want you to advise everybody, because I think your advice is not just going to be for young women. So big advice, and then zero in on young women and advise them a little bit. But before we do that, guys, Big Brother Nana Redamo, I know you're watching because I saw you in here. Hi. A few people that To My Younger Self supports in solidarity, because we're kind of doing the same things. We're putting Ghana on the map, and we're putting Africa on the map. This is what we like to do. This is our calling, and we think that you should support them too. The first person would be, of course, BookNook by Nana Redamo, and also our big brother Kofi Akpabli. Please, guys, to get a book, Rama's Lemonade, I do believe getting it on BookNook is so much better than getting it on Amazon. Okay, we're not afraid to say it here. So please go on BookNook, because Big Brother Nanare is doing an incredible thing. Speaking about Big Brother Nanare Damo, he's doing a book drive for the Christmas, and he's sending 100 books to 16 schools, and he's asking for sponsors. Just listen, kitwa bianswa. When we say every little bit is much, we mean $1 million. Okay, that little is not a lot at all. Okay, so please send us money, and we have the details right here. Let me find it and we'll beam it up. And so that's the information right there. Send your donations. And you don't even have to tag the To My Younger Self part, honestly. As long as you send in your little donation, $1, $50, $100, $1,500, $1 million, we'll take it all. You don't need to even tag us, okay? Of course, thank you to our monthly donors. These are guys who have really no stake in us, except they're not saying, hey, we have a product, play it and get paid. No, they're just going deep into their own pockets and saying, Zoe, we are thankful that you're bringing people to tell stories. Here is a little for you so that you can do, your team and yourself can do this. And so thank you so much to Auntie Rose Machayo Ropa, Jane Fiorito, Auntie B of Exceptional Care, also Auntie Araba herself. Oh my goodness, I love that woman. Mr. EKD, and for everyone that sends a star comment and, just, we are thankful. Thank you guys for doing that. I also want you to support Where Ghana. Okay, Where Ghana is doing incredible things. Men, their designs changed. Where Ghana is doing incredible things. We want the whole world to begin to wear Ghana. And when I say wear Ghana, I'm not talking just about the dressing. I'm talking about a mentality that needs to change about Ghana. And so we support the dress, and then in that way, we're supporting mental change also. Of course, Humanity Chats by my big sister, Margie Marge, doing incredible things, bringing people all around the world to talk about humanity and what they do. On Thursdays at 7:30, you do want to get her on either Facebook or YouTube, okay? Music for Your Quality Feet by our own Uncle Ecolfi Show, okay? Is a dancing show, but so much community. You will not feel alone ever when you're on that show. M. Sims by Mabel Simpson, Ryle by Design from right out of here in Nyack, New York. Vonzige Bridal in Ghana. Keys and Credo by Nana Safa. Horseman Shoes, recently Caveman Watches. There's just so many incredible people, incredible Africans doing incredible things. Of course, congratulations to the Black Stars of Ghana. That 3-2 win was incredible yesterday. I was chicken. I didn't watch it. I was chicken. I didn't watch it. And coming up next week, do you guys remember what Christmas was like when you were growing up? The rituals you went through during Christmas, the new shoes and all those things. So next week, we've decided we're going to call it a very African Christmas storytelling time. And so some of the staff of To My Younger Self will come on the show, and we will just have a kind of like a roundtable thing and just gist. It's just a gisting session. Like, hey, do you remember this and that? And this item and the kakamatobi and all those things, just going back in memory. So listen, if you have stories, we definitely want you to send it to us. Big Sis LC producer or Sedinam, any of the producers that are in the show right now, please put us on the comment section the email, which is To My Younger Self 7777, that's 4 sevens at gmail.com. Whoever it is that is on YouTube sending us nasty comments, stop it. The Lord arrest you. Stop. Shame on you. But yes, we are. Yes, for sure, all the way, Joyce. You're absolutely right. So next week is just a Christmas session. Send us your letters, or your voice note, or your video recounting a story or something about Christmas, and we will be happy to share it with the world. Okay? Yes. Let's see. Oh, look at that! I went on BookNook. I am not even joking. Yay! Let me tell you, I think that we did such a great job with this book because it is easy to talk about. It was written so well. It felt like Rabi was sitting on my couch with me and just telling me, yo, this is what happened to me. It felt like that when I was reading the book. And it would generate a lot of conversation amongst friends, amongst family members. our hope is that it would also even generate healing, because some of the things in there are so touchy. I feel like once you read it, you would have the courage to maybe approach someone to say, what you did during this season in my life was not very nice. And I'm looking for some closure and things like that. And yes, Rabi Brimah is incredible. You're absolutely right, producer Elsie, and we are definitely going to bring her back. I think she is going to be on the Hall of Fame for real.
Whoa.
And so now that housekeeping is done, or is it housekeeping? I think it's housekeeping. Yeah, we just kept house. Yeah, we'll keep it that way. Big brother says, I am here. Oh, been hiding today. Waiting happen. Please don't hide now. This is where we're gunning for this being now one of your best sellers. You know, I know you've had a couple of bestsellers. I mean, all of your books really are bestsellers on BookNook, but at least for this week, we want this to be your bestseller. So I beg, don't hide, eh? I see that you put in all the links so people can jump on and buy the book. So yay. All right, Zoe's gonna stop talking and go back to Rabi and say, Rabi, what would you tell the world? Let's put it that way. What would you tell the world and women in general?
Would I tell well then women? So I'll say that look, we're all here for a purpose, and we're here for a short time.
Yes.
No matter how long you live, it's still a short time. So, you know, looking back on my life, the first thing I will say to everybody is let's have a relationship with God. And by this, I mean knowing God for yourself. Don't let someone else do the knowing for you. Okay? So there is the manual for Christians, the Bible. Grab the Bible, read it yourself, and the Holy Spirit will give you understanding of the scriptures. Just so that you do not lend yourself to all the manipulation that is around, because there is a lot of manipulation. It is so bad that you might get disillusioned and say that this God thing isn't real. But it is real. So please get to know God for yourself, number one.
Yes.
And then I'll also say to you that this life that God has given you is yours to live. You are absolutely responsible for your life. Don't play a passive role in your own life. You see, if you allow society to dictate to you, you are playing a passive role in your life. If you allow the norms that have been set to dictate to you, even though it goes against what you believe inside and what you know is good for your life, it means you're playing a passive role. Don't do that. And in the book, I talk about the fact that Pastor Shimolo once said that if it will be, it is up to you. And that thing has never left me. It's like that is what drives me. Nobody is going to do anything for you. Don't go around with an entitlement mentality. It's your life. What is it that you see is good for you? You want to have a child? That is what will make you happy. Many options available. What do you want to do? And remember, I said, first of all, have a relationship with God. When you have that relationship and you have the manual, which is the word of God, sweetheart, you will be guided. You will walk in that way and you will be happy. So that's what I have to say. Do not allow society or outside forces or whatever to determine how you live your life. We know what is right. We know what is wrong. Do not be afraid to do what is right just because you feel it would hurt somebody else. Live your life because you're going to account for your life. It's entirely in your hands. It's a short one. Please make it count.
Wow. I'm blown away. I don't know what else to say except that to say, listen, guys, I think Rabi is also saying that nothing happens in a vacuum. Nothing happens in a vacuum. So keep pushing and keep going. That will be the To My Younger Self version. Rabi, thank you. What an incredible time I've had with you. Oh my goodness.
Same here. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity to, I've shared my story in a book, but thank you for this opportunity to let a lot more people know about what is in here, and so that they can go grab it and make a difference in their lives. So that is my aim, really, that as many people as possible will get this book, not because of the money, but because of the experiences shared, because of the mindset shift that will happen if you take this book and you read it.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thanks to Elsie, my sister. Bless you. And Zoe, you are a fantastic human being, an amazing person. I am blessed. You see, I keep getting blessed with wonderful people all of the time. And I can only thank God. I'm glad that I met you. Thank you so much.
Same here.
You
You know what? I think you and I were jiving so much. See, Joyce is like, I totally forgot I had a 9 a.m. appointment. Oh my God. Someone also had put in there like, oh my God, I had to be at work at 8:30. I'm still on this bed. Like, you are an incredible guest. And I am just so excited about what God is doing in your life. And I cannot wait to hear even more. I'm hoping that there will be a letter you write to EJ at some point. I'm hoping, I just have so many incredible ideas thinking about your book. I think it just has legs and it will travel far, and there will be sequels and all kinds of incredible things. And I cannot wait personally to meet you and also to meet EJ. Guys, this is it for today. Thank you for hanging in there with us an hour, 55 minutes and counting. It has been an incredible session. We will see you next week with our Bronya stories. So from Rabi and I, in our virtual studio right now, makeshift as it is, we thank you for hanging in there, and thank you for not worrying so much about our aesthetics or anything like that, because the conversation was that good. We will see you next week, guys, on To My Younger Self. My name is Zoe Baraka. Have a wonderful rest of the week, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Israel, Kaja Ethiopia, Sudan, Kaja Kushima, Wani me kona me wajashon. So Timbuktu, Ghana, Mali, Sumanguru, wajashon. Wajashon. So Timbuktu, Ghana, Mali, Sumanguru, wajashon. Manchester, Sumanguru, wajashon.